I know we have a few more people coming, so I'm just gonna give it 2 more minutes, guys, before we get started. We do have someone here. Catherine Babawal is coming on today from ACE, but also from her program to talk about how she incorporates some sensory resources and really supports an inclusive program in her center. So I just want to give a minute because I know she was just jumping on from something else. Yeah, I can get started. Catherine can jump on when she gets here. But I just wanted to say today, we usually like to incorporate some of the features to help you with the management side of your program, help you with administering your program, and to eliminate some of the kind of paperwork and bogged down of administration as operators. We are always here with Child Friendly, and Wayne is here today. Today's topic doesn't really necessarily translate to an actual feature or anything I can provide to you as far as administration. But sorry, we will obviously have Wayne here, and if there's any questions that you have around child friendly or anything like that, we can set some time up at the end, so feel free. But with that, we will get started right now. So today is our lunch and learn. Every 2 weeks, we try to offer kind of an operator to operator lunch and learn to support you in the field, on the ground in childcare. This is in partnership with Child Friendly, who makes sure that we have these lunch and learns on a regular basis and that they're recorded for you so you can access them later if you want to review any of the things. So just to get started, again, operator to operator, today we are talking all about implementing sensory activities, boosting the development in your programs for children to really calm those behaviors, make sure that your environment in your center is as happy and smooth running as can be. We know that when things are calm and children are happy and adjusted in your center, your staff is also happy, and the stress level and the burnout tends to go down. Today, we won't be doing a super deep dive into sensory processing or any of those things. We're going to kind of cover this in a high level way and make sure that you understand, how you can easily implement some sensory things on a budget without having to go and buy a ton of different resources. And just some of the tips and tricks that have worked for us in our centers. So what we'll do to start with is just kind of go over what we're going to talk about today. We'll talk a little bit about what sensory integration is, the importance of sensory play, some challenges that you might see around sensory processing, some budget-friendly and kind of easy and adaptive sensory solutions for your center, some auditory and movement solutions, and then how to integrate sensory learning in your center. And then a few strategies that have worked, again, from my center and, kind of different things that we've used over the years. And then we'll leave it open for questions and answers. So I'll try to go through this quickly because I know that everyone is probably on lunch and wanting to get back into ratio or whatever you need to do after this. So just by getting started, we'll talk a little bit about what sensory processing is. So sensory processing is really how the brain receives, organizes, and responds to sensory input. It was surprising to me the stats when I was putting together this and some other workshops that I've been doing on this. Approximately 5 to 16% of children actually experience sensory processing difficulties. I would say adults as well in there, and many of our staff probably too, and ourselves. Really why this matters and why we're talking about this today is that as operators, we need to support all children in our centers. We want to make sure that we can really meet them where they are and enhance their development and reduce those behaviors. I know from talking to operators a lot lately and just being in centers, especially centers that are newer and just opening, many educators and many operators are really struggling with the behavior management side of the program. And it really can absolutely drain your resources and burn the staff out and add an extra stressful component to being in childcare that you can hopefully manage with some easy solutions. So some of the importance, around sensory play, One of the benefits that we always kind of try to start with is how it can enhance the cognitive, language, and motor skills. It can improve emotional regulation and social interactions. A big one is it can reduce anxiety and challenging behaviors. So, regular sensory play has shown to significantly reduce stress and meltdowns in daycare environments. I know from my own center that the minute we incorporate different sensory kind of activities and different things, which we'll touch on later, you can just feel the energy in the room go down. You can see that children are suddenly regulating and being able to kind of reduce those meltdowns and emotional outbursts that you might be seeing, especially when what I find with my age groups later in the afternoon, things can get a little crazy in childcare, and bringing out some water activities or different things like that can have an immediate calming effect in your place. So the sensory areas that we're going to hit on today is your tactile, your visual, your auditory, and your movement. Feel free to put your hand up during this if you have questions. I'm absolutely happy to help and to answer them as we go. I wanted to highlight, I know we all deal with different age groups, but 12 months to 4 years seems to be kind of the main groups that I see opening in centers. So how you can really support for those age groups, supporting cognitive development, enhancing brain growth and learning pathways through sensory play, promoting language and motor skills, encouraging vocabulary building and physical coordination, improving emotional regulation, reducing anxiety and challenging behaviors through calming activities, strengthening social skills, so facilitating cooperative play and social interactions, and smoothing daily transitions, helping children adjust between activities, especially if they're in care for, that 8 to 10 hour period each day. It's a really long day for children and for staff. Create a calming and engaged environment, providing essential sensory stimulation and fostering overall well-being. When we go through the activities a little bit later in this one, we will hit on exactly how those activities hit on these and can improve these types of social skills and transitions and regulation in your center. So sensory challenges and behaviors. Again, this is one that I must be asked weekly on how do we, what do we do? We have this situation in our center. How do we support the children through it? I'm sure that if you're working in childcare, you've seen some of these faces that are on the screen in your program on a daily basis. 1 in 6 children may display sensory sensitivities, which impact their daily function. How they can impact their daily function can be through things like hyperactivity or low activity, difficulty with transitions, overstimulation or withdrawal, and frequent, tantrums, meltdowns, emotional dysregulation, stress. So this is, I thought I'd put together kind of some of my favorite like sensory solutions, some of the activities that we like to use. This is by no means all of it. This is like the tip of an iceberg, and depending on how creative you want to be with this and how you want to incorporate it in your center, I mean, the opportunities and the potential is really endless. So for me, I am a huge water play person in my center. I find that the benefits for all ages are just amazing. And like I said in the beginning, as soon as we open up the water activity in our center, you can just feel the energy go down. You can feel that kind of calm, and children seem to really respond to it. Water play promotes, calming sensory input, enhances motor skills, language development, and emotional regulation. So just like some basics, if you wanted to set up a water play activity in your center, something you don't have to have, a $2,000 water table. There's some pictures on here. You can take, Rubbermaid totes that are this deep and put them on the ground. You can put them on a table. You don't need to spend a lot of money to be able to incorporate some sensory activities into your center. Plastic bins with some water in it, some buckets, ice cube trays, those kind of things, different measuring cups from Dollarama, funnels, and things to pour and scoop is really all you need. Add a little bit of bubbles in there, and it's going to be like the best thing ever in your center. So, you can encourage motor skills and coordination, real life skills like pouring and mixing and everything that comes together when you're playing with water. Like I've said, I think 3 or 4 times already, it really can calm and relax and reduce anxiety. You can teach through this. You can teach basic scientific concepts, what floats, what sinks, how does something pour? Is it overflowing? That kind of thing. Add a little bit of, non-toxic paint to your water. I would say operator tip number one, don't add food coloring unless you want kids to be going home with like blue hands. But a little bit of like washable paint will change the color too. You can enhance language skills through this type of play just by talking about things like, let's look how it's splashing. Is it wet? Look what happens when you pour. So just being there and guiding that play and interacting with children has so many benefits. Another one, bubble play. I don't know if everybody here has a bubble machine in your center, but if you have not invested in a bubble machine, it is Amazon days right now, and I would say like that is the best $20 you will ever spend. But bubble play is something, especially on a nice day, like a sunny day today, that really can strengthen visual tracking, motor skills. It can calm, it can help with concentration, effectively redirects hyperactivity and supports focus during overstimulation. Again, another really easy thing to supply in your center with bubble solution, bubble wands, adding plastic bins, buckets, and trays for catching bubbles. This can be incorporated with your water play as well. A little bit of dish soap into your bucket of water. Some whisks even in the water with bubbles. Anyway, I could go on and on about this, obviously, but having bubbles outside and just watching the kids play with it. This is something that kind of transfers over all age groups as well. And some of the things we don't think about when we're just incorporating these kind of really easy activities is all the benefits that come from it. So just having those bubbles in the air and having children like follow them and kind of chase them really strengthens visual tracking, hand-eye coordination. It can, again, support language development using words like, look, what happens when we hit the bubble and it's popping, look at it float, look it go up and watch it go down. Like those kind of things, when you're engaged with the children in these activities, have such a huge impact on their whole learning. Again, gross motor skills through chasing and popping with bubbles. You can do a bubble dance party inside if you're, don't have access to an outside area, or it's not a great day. Play-Doh. I know this is an Alberta Health thing lately, but if you can find a way to have Play-Doh in your center, again, it's such an easy, inexpensive, used to be way less expensive when we can make it ourselves, but such an easy way to bring something into your center that has such a huge impact on all of the children that you're caring for. Play-Doh, anything like that really improves that tactile play. It's very calming for children, promotes emotional regulation, reduces anxiety, improves attention and concentration. I like to also point out that it's really good for hand strength, for those muscles in our hands that a lot of children don't have the proper strength to actually hold pencils properly when they're going into kindergarten. Play-Doh is a really good resource for that. Can't talk about the homemade Play-Doh on this one, but get yourself some Play-Doh, have it open on a table with some basic things, rolling pins, cookie cutters, even some, like child-safe utensils. I like to also add some texture to it. You can add things through, rice or beans, or even like we put dried flowers in there, like lavender, different things like that. I've also added scents in the past to mine. And again, you want to make sure that whatever scents and things you're adding are obviously non-toxic and safe for children. But, a lemon extract, lavender oil, vanilla, cocoa powder, all of those things can just really add a different element to this, to give it not just the tactile, but now they're having that sensation of smell. And you can also freeze Play-Doh. We like to freeze Play-Doh and have children use plastic scissors to cut it. It's really, again, good for that muscle strength in the hands, the pencil grip muscles that they need. A lot of the benefits kind of cross over from the other activities we talked about, but really provides that calming tactile sensory input for those children that need that, promotes emotional regulation, reduces anxiety. Again, about the focus and attention and concentration. As far as different kind of cross benefits to having Play-Doh. You can use it for a lot of different things. You can use it for, even like learning shapes and letters and building those with the Play-Doh. You can have different laminated Play-Doh mats. They're very easy to find on things like Teachers Pay Teachers, or, even through the ACE community of operators. People have shared different resources like that for, learning letters or making different lines and shapes with Play-Doh. Using different vocabulary like big, small, round, flat, recognition of colors and textures, what feels smooth, what is rough. Endless with these kind of things, and super inexpensive. Very easy for kind of educators all over the place for experience to just incorporate this into your center, and it'll work with a lot of different age groups too. Heavy work is something that I find that a lot of people maybe just don't think about, or isn't something that is kind of common practice sometimes. I know when I worked in behavior intervention years and years ago, heavy work was something that we often went to look for bringing that regulation into our classrooms. It really promotes kind of a sensory input that helps children to regulate emotions, builds body awareness, and improves overall attention and social interaction skills. So just something without having, again, to go out and buy more things. Some small baskets, some buckets that are filled with different, cars, toys, blocks, whatever, the children want to add into the bucket, carry them across the room. Let's see, how strong you are. We've done things in the past about like just even trying to push the wall over, really like that full body push. And you'll find with some children, and you'll know who they are when you start incorporating these activities, this is going to have a tremendous impact, a really quick kind of impact to bring down that, those behaviors and bring that regulation back to their little bodies so that they can, be successful in your program, and it'll help for everyone around them. I'm going to keep trying to talk fast because I know we don't have a ton of time today. But there's so many benefits again to this, and it's something that can be so easy in your center. You can see like on the pictures here outside, you could, if you have an outside play space with water and buckets, fill the buckets up with water and let them carry those buckets. Try one bucket, try two buckets. Let's see if you can go all the way across the yard and back. A backpack with some things in it too will also help. Buckets with blocks in them, just so easy if you start thinking about really intentional use of all of the resources you have in your center. This will help to, like all of these activities, help to reduce anxiety, support stress relief, promotes cooperative play, social interactions with other children. All of them, again, improve emotional regulation, provide calming, grounding sensation. Think about having a weighted blanket. If anyone here uses a weighted blanket, this is a weighted blanket activity here, and it will have the same impact on children as a weighted blanket might for you, or a weighted vest. All right, rocking and swinging. So rocking and swinging, you're going to see the kids, again, when you find the kids that need these and it just clicks, you're going to see such an instant impact for your staff and for those children. Rocking and swinging, just providing gentle movement experiences that help children to calm their bodies, regulate emotion, improve coordination, attention, and social skills. This one's a little bit harder, I think, to just bring in regular resources that you might have lying around your center, but you'll see some ideas on here. If you have an outdoor play space, hopefully there's something that rocks or swings as part of that. It may be something that you want to add. This, I would say, requires supervision more so than some of the other activities. You can add in like a sensory, an actual designated sensory swing, like you can see in the picture, that disc, and an internal, space in your center if you have the room for that and the resources. You can see there's like an IKEA rocking moose on the top corner of this picture. That will have, same benefits for children. Those rocking boards, the balance boards that are on the bottom are often really good too. There's a lot of different kind of specialized resources with this, but you can find kind of regular things in your program that will support this too. You're going to find that, you want to have mats around. You want to make sure that you are supervising if you're providing swings and different things that are moving like that. But it'll improve the concept of balance and movement. You can incorporate vocabulary into this as well too, like you're going forward, you're going backward. Look how fast you're going, look how high you are, those kind of things. Being engaged in any of these activities, if you're engaged with them and you're talking, you're going to increase vocabulary. You're teaching while you're also helping them to regulate and supporting them along the way through any of these activities. With this one, I'm going to pass it over to Catherine, who is here today. Catherine is here today from herself as an operator, not necessarily through ACE, and she's going to share her experience as an operator as well and how she incorporates sensory learning into her center. So thanks so much, Catherine.
Awesome. Thanks, Crystal. Happy to be here. One of the niche things in my program that I've become known for in my area is I'm gonna choose your kid all the time. They can show up authentically here, and that includes a whole bunch of the kids that get bumped from a bunch of programs. I want to kind of redirect a tiny bit because I know some of you are experiencing similar children that are showing up. So how do you actually implement support for extra sensory stuff in your programs? These are excellent activities. So we've got suggestions here for doing routines on a daily basis that incorporate sensory for those kinesthetic kids who really benefit from moving. So sensory routines, like they have a sensory table when they come in. In our program too, part of our daily is that we do yoga at the beginning of the day. You got twisting and stretching. Big muscle movement stuff is huge and great for calming people down if you're using gross motor in a calm way. Calm down corner is something that I love. We have that in my classroom, and you don't have to have permission to go in there. There are tools, not toys, in there, and everybody gets taught how to use them and why some of these things are helpful. I can talk a bit more in depth on some of the other pictures that we have coming up that will give you examples. Regular sensory breaks. After our lunchtime, before we start our afternoon programming, my kids are 4 and 5 in here. We have a full visualized meditation time where everybody lies down, foreheads on the floor, as still as your body allows. That's fine if you need to move, and it's fine if you want to sit up as well. Just a recommendation. We listen to different music every single day. Usually it's some kind of a classical piece, and then they get to tell us, what did I see in my head happening? What was the story that happened during that time? It's a child level meditation. Beautiful, works really, really well for us to all reset and get back to grounded. In my program, we use the zones of regulation, the green for calm, the yellow for starting to get a bit triggered, and from that you can get triggered into red for angry or blue for sad. That kind of stuff we talk about often. So trying as often as possible for kids to be in a green zone. And some of them live in yellow, so we need to be teaching them a lot on this. Doing rotations of sensory activities is really awesome as well. These tips and tricks, obviously, it needs to be accessible. It's not just a special thing. It is, we have it all the time that you can use. Reinforcing and modeling that this is great that we grab for these things. Even when Crystal was saying just now, like rocking, when I am sitting in front of the class and we're doing something, if I start doing this because I notice that everybody's a little bit off, they all just copy. You don't even need to say anything. And the inherent part of swaying like this gets your entire system regulated and grounded. You don't even need to talk. These kind of things to just exemplify. Yeah, awesome. Let's go to the next one. Sensory strategies. Redirecting behavior, preventing meltdowns, encouraging mindfulness. Where am I at for my emotion? How can I be self-regulating? What techniques, tips, tools do I need to be able to get there? Can I ask for what I need? And always daily examples. These are great ideas to have on a regular basis in your system, inherent within your always being exemplified by staff. I can't impress upon you enough that if we are not modeling by the adult that these are important things, then those kinesthetic kids in particular are going to feel left out because they won't have visibility. It's important, even if you aren't a movie person, to be acknowledging the kid that is rolling on the carpet. Are they not paying attention, or are they letting you know that they need more stimulation in order to be listening and paying attention to you. We have some old school ideas that if you're not sitting very still and quiet with your eyes looking, that means that you're not paying attention. I think we've definitely stepped beyond that to recognize that some children need more stimulation in order to do those things. So in fact, by rolling around on the carpet, thank you for letting me know that I can, while I'm teaching about whatever we're doing right now, get on the floor and do that at the same time. We can do things at the same time, and then that child gets rewarded for, hey, moving is cool. It does feel good in my body to do that. Let's do it. Let's copy you. Let's move on to the next one.
All right.
So these are just some ideas. Hey, did you want to talk, Crystal? You want me to keep going? You tell me.
So I guess for the next 3 slides, what we were going to do is just share some operator to operator ideas of what Catherine has some pictures of her center on the next slide. But we really just wanted to make it an open conversation with you. If you had questions like, I'm seeing these behaviors, or I have these resources, or I want to incorporate something, what do I do? How, or if something's really working well and you want to share it, this is a great idea and time for that. I know we spoke of this earlier, Catherine and I. Sometimes there is some feelings on people using food products in sensory in their centers. And I think for today, let's just keep it at a you do you and what works for your center. No judgment on that. I know, like for my center personally, we do use food items in our sensory bins. We do use rice. We've used cornmeal in our sensory bins instead of sand for some of our other children that are just, they're going to eat it. And it depends on the age group, and it depends what's available to you and what your philosophy and beliefs are on that, and what parents that you serve in the community you're in. So for today, we'll talk about all things, and there's going to be pictures in here that have food products in them. No judgment, just wanted to make sure that it was open and as easy for you as possible, because if you are incorporating sensory things, even on the very basic of levels, into your center, it's going to have a benefit to all the kids and the staff that are there. So here we have some just like basic ideas. I love tough trays in my classroom, which are the round kind of plastic trays on this picture. We don't usually use them in stands. I know that a lot of times they're provided with a stand and you can buy. We like them on the floor, and I just find for my age groups and things, it changes up the way they play, because they're not standing playing, they're actually lying down or sitting down, and I found that is just a different way to use them. So don't get stuck with any of these things and always using it the same way. Try using it in a ton of different ways and really keep it always changing and accessible to kids. Light tables, you can see there's a picture of a light table here. Those are really great, and there's so many different things you can do with them, but they are not cheap. And I will say, just as a little tip and trick out there, depending on the age group of the kids you have, you can often buy drawing, what do you call them? Like light up drawing platforms, not a table. And Amazon is, again, really good for this. You can plug them in on top of the table, and it works the same as a light table, and really like a tenth of the cost of a light table, and really portable. So you can put them all over on different places in your classroom and use them in different ways. I'll go to the next slide, and Catherine, this is your center, so
yeah, those are my feet.
Mm-hmm.
Gross.
I love those tiles.
Talking about rocking, so I've got some of the kid-size rocking chairs. It's up on the counter right now because my center has to be floor waxed because I'm in a school. So that's what you get. I just grabbed stuff to take pictures of. My feet is one of those. It moves around when you step on it. It's pretty cool. Bottom left is a Tibetan singing bowl. Those are amazing. They just stop in the middle. Even littles, very, very littles, like 2-year-olds, I have used that, and you just tap it and wow, 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 wow. But it will stop 2-year-olds in the middle of like one of those. They'll just, what the heck is that? And it's very, very cool. It just, it basically vibrates the water in their body starts to respond because we're mostly water. It's very neat. You can get some aroma smells like Crystal was talking about. These ones are actually combinations that make either children be refreshed is the left one for a little bit of a wake up, or on the full moon day, that grounding spray. Beautiful. It's very helpful for calming. I also have a lot of acknowledgement that children that are 0 to 5 are in the process, natural development for the front of their brain to be in the process of growing. And that's where we gain access to executive function. So I know a lot of us are getting to points with some of our older kids, the 5 and the 6-year-olds who are our kinder kids, where we are, is there enough check boxes here to maybe point to parents and say, no, maybe checking into whether your kiddo is neurodivergent is important, because we're seeing developmental delays. But frankly, I run my program with an assumption that let's just assume all of these kids are going to have a neurodivergent brain because they're developing it all at the same time. So why would we not apply all of the really great research that's out there for the ADHD and autistic kids? So I have a ton of different external cues that exist so that children can feel more independent, not be reliant upon the external cues coming from their teachers. My program's in French, but you don't need to see the words, and the kids don't read the words anyway. That says dans le couloir, in the hallway. What do we see as we're going out? We zip, we have our hands behind our back, we have our eyes pointing forward when we walk, and I'm doing walking feet. And we have similar ones in the background. Le dîner is what are our steps that we do at lunchtime for independent skills, process steps that we need to do. What do we do for les déguisements, our classroom dress up? How do we use them and put them back nicely? The green backed bulletin board is my calm down center, where there's lots of little posters. So I call that the switch spot. Literally, that you can go from a red emotion that is draining your energy to a green emotion that is raising it up. And I like to speak about feelings as all being good. The pictures on the left, red, yellow, and green, kind of allude to the zones of regulation. And then I also use in my program a system that's called belief repatterning, which basically supports kids entirely in emotional regulation. It's very wonderful. And it has these posters that come with it. So you go over and you find your little emoji. Which one are you? And you can see the red, yellow, and green replicated there. And which one do you want to be instead? These are pretty much the only feelings that the majority of our kids want to be. We don't need to have lots and lots of words. We do have a poster in the bottom in the middle there that's blue with a bunch of words in lists. And we choose one of those words every day. What's our word of the day going to be? Oh, today is celebrate. When can we find celebrate today? We'll celebrate when we're finished doing our craft. We'll celebrate when it's time for us to go outside to the park and we do something that we're proud of. All this kind of thing. It's very good. And then my cheesy, I love that. This is a safe place to feel all the feels. It's the truth. I'm a person with a lot of feels. So in my program, what I would suggest to you guys is that you begin thinking and teaching yourselves about executive function, because it's a big deal. As supervisors, if we don't properly understand that executive function is things like working memory, can I keep the directions in my head long enough to actually be able to act them out? Impulse control, can I avoid being distracted? Am I actually capable? Can I think before I act, or am I going to punch my friend to solve the problem? Can I delay gratification, or am I headed right for it? Can I filter out stuff that's going on in the background? Flexible thinking. Am I able to do transitions or not? Can I adjust to the teacher asking me something different to do? Can I take perspective of my friends? Planning, organizing. Can I set a goal, know what steps that need to happen, and be able to do it properly within timelines? Can I prioritize things? Can I start initiating tasks on my own? Can I do things independent? Can I avoid procrastination? Can I regulate my big feelings? Can I stay calm when it's stressful? Can I have good mindful self-monitoring? Where am I at for my emotional space? What color am I at? What do I need? Can I ask for what I need? And can I change a strategy when what I'm trying out isn't working well for me? If we understand these things, then we are in a position as supervisors with small kids to properly really renegotiate the way that we respond to them. Because we don't need to be perfect as ECEs, but we're going to be a lot happier if we are able to recognize where kids are at as far as their executive function development, because it shows up in 100% of every single thing that they do. So like I said, if we're going to just assume that everybody possibly has underlying ADHD, regardless of whether they do or they don't, It's going to be so kind to these kids. The best kind of programs that I've ever been in, I've been asked to help out a lot of programs who have management issues with these highly sensory kids. The best programs I have found, I have an acronym for it. It's Create Flow. We're going to use the C and the R and then FLO. So C is for connection. We're going to focus on connecting with kids faster than criticizing and correcting them. Connection. Choosing relationship over reaction. R is for reduce. Reduce the demands when they're in a meltdown. They don't need to be told right now. You need to apologize right now. You're going to get an insincere apology from a dysregulated kid who's in blue or red. It's not going to be real. They're not going to learn anything. They're not going to do anything differently the next time because you insist that they apologize immediately. Reduce their demands, help them to come back to being grounded, then have the conversation about accountability. The F is for flexible. So we want to have flexible routines, not super rigid rules. If the kids can depend upon the structure, that's great because then they feel safe, they feel secure, they feel comfortable in their environment. And also, we need to be able to be flexible so that children recognize that when something explodes, there's going to be an individual response for them. While this is the standard normally, I can see right now that you need compassion. I can be flexible in how we do things here. Then the L is for lag. If you assume that there is a delay for their growth, for where they're at as far as executive function and their development, then you can be a lot more compassionate, especially these kiddos when they're getting to 5 and you're seeing, why are we not there yet? Why does it take you so much longer than your peers to come in and do this step-by-step process of putting away your backpack and coming in and getting on your shoes? Like, we've been doing this for 4 months. Yeah, we probably have a delay. And when the kids are diagnosed with ADHD, you learn that their brains actually develop 30% slower than their neurotypical brain peers. So if you're 5, your brain is 3. That's fair that you're going to take 6 minutes longer than the other kids in the class, right? This is the kind of thing where we need to be coming around. We have these posters, we have these step-by-steps, we have the oral cues, we have the patience to acknowledge them. And then the last one is O, which I think is crucial. Own your stuff as the supervisor. Mostly I say a lot to my staff. You're not that important. You're not in their story. If we take their behavior personally as if it's about us, we're missing the boat entirely. We need to be owning our own stuff. If we're getting triggered from children and hearing this kid doesn't respect me, and then we launch back at them, we are just putting triggers upon triggers, and we're going to see even more disrespect, right? We need to be modeling, you guys. We want to be doing, I'm going to deep breathe right now. I'm going to use some of the calm down tools. I'm going to speak out loud what steps and what thoughts I'm having for my inner coach of I'm doing a good job. It's okay to feel grouchy right now. I don't think there's an emergency. Maybe my brain is telling me that. This kind of stuff. We're going to reference these external cues. I don't really know what to do right now, but maybe I'll go look at the poster because that will help me to see where I want to be and where I am right now for more mindful recognition. We're exemplifying putting in a pause before we have the reaction. And the most important is that after there are hard moments, we walk in and we repair with children and we apologize if it's warranted. If we haven't done our best work to support them, acknowledge it. We'll get so much more respect from them saying that, yeah, we're here. We know how to do this. Yeah. What else we got, Crystal, on the next page?
We just have, some more, I would say, pretty easy activities to set up. Again, I think this is Oobleck, which is in the tough tray right there, which is amazing if you have that in your center. Like, look at the water table with the little boys pouring out of different recycled bottles, like how easy and simple and inexpensive that is to add into your center without having to go and buy an actual designated water table. All of them, I mean, there's nothing overly expensive or complicated for any of those activities, yet you'll find that they will have a huge impact on the kids in your centers. Again, there's a little bit of Play-Doh and some loose parts in this one. Again, so inexpensive. Sticks, some rocks, some scissors and rolling pin. Like I said, we freeze the Play-Doh in like long, like rolled out tubes to let them cut it. It makes it harder on their hands and builds those muscles. But yeah, like a little tray like that with colors and different loose parts, as long as they're not choking hazards for the kids and the ages that you have. Um, you will extend the play of this activity, but you'll also just add so much more to it. I don't know if we have too much more. Just a little bit about kind of wrapping up with this. Like Catherine had mentioned for her center, that she provides this not just for the kids who may technically need it, but for everyone.
Mhm.
I do the same as well. I think that sensory supports are so important for all of your children. And it should always just be something that's open and available in your center, not a special thing that you have to, wait for someone to give you when you're absolutely in a state of dysregulation. It should just be something in so many different ways around your space that they can just go and access when they need it, and be independent in advocating for themselves and what they need. Um, Having things like affordable solutions that you can easily implement, your staff can easily implement. You don't need to necessarily have, tons of workshops and training for your staff to be able to implement these things. Just go to Dollarama, spend $50 on some measuring cups and loose parts and bins and cups and ladles and whisks, and there's so much you can do with that. And that sensory play will really support the overall well-being and classroom for your staff and for your children. I think that's pretty much it. One of the things that we wanted to add to the resource page today, because I usually keep it kind of the same, is the belief repattering course that Catherine had talked about. The link is on the bottom of this page. I will also put it into our chat, and when we send this out to everyone, we can make sure that the link is on there too.
Can I
There's a
speak
ton.
about that for a
Yeah,
sec?
go for it, for sure.
Yeah, like this is a course that I got. I took this course and I was like, this is amazing. It's exactly what I need. And now, as a late diagnosed ADHD and autism I understand a lot of why I like this course, because it's like, hey, do you have big feelings? It's fine. I'll help you through them. But the main piece that I love so much that differs from standard support for people for emotional regulation is that you don't stop at the point where you get grounded and you're calmed down. You actually support using very straightforward techniques. It uses cognitive learning theory, how humans learn, to actually do some extra steps and make new neural pathways, so that when you are triggered with that initial emotion, the next time there is the possibility of a new file folder that your subconscious mind will give to you to solve the problem, rather than the old way, which often drains our emotions and we go through yucky steps of separation anxiety, crying, and all this kind of stuff. We can support for kids to get to a place where the next time that they do it, they are going to be so much more capable of doing it themselves, and it will be automatic because you teach the subconscious mind to do it. Just like when you learn how to drive and then your subconscious mind's like, hey, this is useful, really positive experiences of this. How about if I just do it for you in a pattern? That then you can actively teach children to get to a place where when the rug gets pulled out from underneath you and you're like, their brain will be like, don't worry, I know how to do this. I can get my brain up to the upside and find positive ways to think about things and have a great attitude. So I got this course to be adaptable, to be working with children, because I think it's wonderful. And because I know the lady who created it is out of Calgary. She has her master's in education. And then I also have this course qualified for PD funding.
Yay.
So yeah, you could take it. And I make it mandatory for all of my staff to take it. And as it is, the course itself is only $200. If it's something that you're looking for, it's amazing. The reason that I have my staff all have to take it is then we have one verbiage, one set of everybody follows these process steps to support any child in our program through any kind of emotional dysregulation. And it is wonderful. And it teaches my staff that they need to be in charge of their own crap. If they are like, you're not respecting me responses to children, and that is getting in the way of them being able to do well in their job and support the children to be authentic, it helps them to be like, wait, what's going on with my stuff? Why is that something that I'm having an emotional response to? I'm not in this kid's story. That kind of thing. Amazing. It decreases significantly the drama that happens on people and their management skills with children. It's amazing.
Yeah, so I think that is pretty much our short, rapid fire introduction to sensory integration. Um, I would love to give you the opportunity to ask questions, to share if there's anybody who has anything they want to offer or get some clarification or just talk to us about. We have a few minutes. Please turn your camera on or your microphone. Jody, go right ahead. You're up.
Hi, sorry, I'm camping. I can't really turn my microphone off on
That's
or
okay.
my camera. I think it'll cut me out. Um, I just want to say I think it's great, and we really embraced a lot of sensory stuff in our program about 3 or 4 years ago. We're a preschool program, and it's a game changer. We offer probably 5 to 6 different sensory options every single class. And at first, when I introduced it to my 2 teachers, they were kind of like, "Oh, that's a lot of work," and it's become to the point where it's very, very manageable. It's very easy to set up. And I think that was the biggest thing for me in instituting it was just getting everyone on board about the work to go with it. And I agree a lot with what Catherine is saying that if those things are there, the work is actually significantly less because there's opportunities for kids to already be able to regulate themselves. I find that the kids now, especially in our 4-year-old programs, when they are frustrated with the play that's happening on the carpet, they just get up and walk over to a sensory bin and do their own thing. And, a few minutes later, they're walking back and they're re-engaging on their own. They don't necessarily even always need the support of the adults in the space to guide them through that. Some still do, and you're there for it. But I really, really want to encourage anyone who's kind of apprehensive or scared about the amount of work that a sensory bin takes. It actually lessens your load significantly as the educator in the room. I think you guys did a great job. Thank you for putting this on.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
saying
you.
that, because I
Yeah.
always find that the two kind of oppositions to anything when I've had new staff come on or we're introducing something like this is the work and the mess.
The
Um,
mess, yeah.
the mess can be something too, but it's yeah,
Don't you find that the mess is reasonable to be? This is a group effort as well. Like I find that the children are
exactly.
very amenable to
Yeah.
cleaning it up. They have a lot of joy when they have the access to the
Well,
things. So
I think it's like anything else in a room. We teach our children to respect what they're playing with and to put their
Exactly.
toys away. And it's the same at a sensory bin. We put those Orbeez, or that's what the kids call them. I call them water beads, but um, this year I learned that apparently they're called Orbeez. When we talk about if they bounce all over the room, we're going to have to clean them up. So let's try to keep them inside when we're
Yeah.
pouring. Can you pour gentle? Do you have to pour lower to make the beads not bounce around? Those sorts of things. But they are so game to clean. And the other thing is, when you're at the dollar store picking up those whisks and the pouring things and the loose parts, just grab one of the sets, the little brooms and dustpans, the
Yes.
kid size. They are super keen to clean up their own mess, right?
That's so
And
true.
at the end of the day, I also say to my staff, we're paid to do this. We love it. So clean up is part of it.
exactly.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
there has to be time allotted for cleanup. I think that it's entirely reasonable that children are expected to be participants in the entirety of the process, including cleanup. That's a reality check. You're gonna do the mess, you're gonna clean it up, like natural. Yeah, absolutely.
Anybody else have anything they wanted to share before we wrap up for today? I hope you found this useful. I hope that you got a couple of good ideas or maybe even some reinforcement that what you're bringing into your program is going to have some long-term benefits. And like I always like to close with these. If there's any topics you want, today's Lunch and Learn came from a suggestion from an operator. So if there is anything that you would like to learn about or just hear feedback from other operators, Catherine and I both have our own centers that we've been operating for 10 plus years. No one's going to do it the same, and it's so great just to have a forum to share things that have worked and tips and tricks and all the things that come with it. So if there's ever anything you want to have us talk about or touch on, just let us know. We're happy to offer that anytime. But I will just also thank Wayne. I know you're kind of in the shadows today, Wayne, but if there's anything you want to add to this before we wrap up, go right ahead.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. No, just on
No.
my end, we also have a lot of other free resources and templates on our website. So if you guys would check those out, that'd be fantastic as well. And thank you so much for Catherine and Crystal for their presentation today. Definitely a lot of amazing ideas. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Catherine, for your time today, especially
My pleasure.
over
Yeah,
lunch.
Oh, there's a question in the inbox. Can we talk about Play-Doh and the health requirements? Play-Doh is so important for so many reasons, and it needs to be solved. Yeah, we're all on the same page on that, aren't we? A lot of it is challenging though, because you have to be getting these specific levels of flour. But I have been hearing in chats with our operators that many people are managing to find the correct kind of flour on Amazon, I feel.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think I don't really know exactly what that is. I don't want to give misinformation or not totally correct information, because I know it is very strict guidelines on the flour that you can use. But if you are a member of the Association of ACE, I know in the chat, if you were to post that question, somebody will share the link, because it was just recently shared on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people are buying Play-Doh, like Play-Doh brand Play-Doh, to have in their centers too. But I know that's not a cheap thing to add to your center, and just kind of takes all the fun out of it, of adding all those extra things you can add.
Yeah, it's about there being bacterial growth in it, is my understanding, with heating it. And it was like the problem was that raw flour, it was with raw flour, you needed to have flour that was like ready to eat, is what I remember. It's like already preheat treated flour. Then that's the one that isn't going to be able to have the bacterial problems. Yeah, even if you are in the ACE chats, just search for the word Play-Doh and you're going to find the full conversation that came up on that.
Yeah. Again, why it's so important to have a community of operators, right?
So useful. These kind of crazy questions that come up, and then you have like 10 people commenting on it. It's so excellent for just being able to figure it out rather than having to start on your own. Somebody who's already got the answer from health or from licensing that can post their replies in so fast. Yeah.
But yes, so I'll let you guys go back to your Wednesday afternoon, and we will see you in 2 weeks with another great topic, which I'm not exactly sure what's going to be yet. So open to suggestions. But other than that, I hope everyone enjoys the rest of your week. And thank you again, Catherine and Wayne, for your time today.
Yeah, no problem at all. Thanks a lot for having me.
Bye.